Welcome to Chamber Exchange, a TV show. My name is Tim Murray, President and CEO of the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce. And Chamber Exchange, a TV show, is an opportunity for us to bring on guests and members of the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce to talk about economic development, jobs, and initiatives happening in the community that better us all. I want to thank Bank Hometown for being the sponsor of the TV show, for making it all happen. And with us in our first segment is someone who is making things happen, Miranda Hotham, who is the Worcester Green Corps Coordinator. Miranda, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So I think we were here about a year ago with an update on year 2 of the Worcester Green Corps, but we're year 3, the most intense part of the year-round effort is underway. And maybe for our viewers who aren't totally familiar with the Worcester Green Corps, you could just give a little background of how it started and what it does.
Yeah, so we're a public-private partnership. We're based at the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce, but we're sponsored by AT&T, Amazon, CSX, the United Way of Central Massachusetts. Those are our biggest sponsors. And then we have 23 youth workers right now that work through the Worcester Community Action Council's Youth Works program. So we have them for about 7 weeks this summer, and they work about 25 hours a week completing a lot of the beautification projects that we've created.
Yeah, and some of the 2023 sponsors, United Way, I think we mentioned their After School and Out of Time program, National Grid, Major Bloom, Canal District Alliance, Amazon, and you mentioned several others. So this was an initiative launched 3 years ago with the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce, United Way in the city. And really the idea is to work with the community, the broader community, but also in particular with young people around the year to kind of work on beautifications, cleanup projects, but also, and it's something I know that you put a lot of time in helping put together for the summer, letting them know about educational and or employment tracks kind of under the green collar jobs umbrella.
Yeah, so every Friday, instead of going out in the field and working on beautification projects, we meet at the National Grid Sustainability Hub and we hear from different professionals. So every week is a different theme. So last week we learned about the U.S. waste crisis. This week we're going to be learning about Worcester's waters. And then later this summer we're also going to be learning about social innovation and social enterprises. And
some of that's not just kind of sitting in a room getting a presentation or listening to someone talk, but it's also tours. They actually kind of go out and kind of see some of the work in action. I think you were just recently at Casella. Yeah,
last week we went to the Casella, the material recovery facility. So all of our recycling, once it leaves Worcester, it goes there in Auburn. So the kids got to see all the machines and how a zero sort facility really works.
So how they sort everything out. And you also work hand in glove with the city, and the young people are involved in this in terms of kind of doing audits and educating people about what should and should not be in their recycling bins.
Yeah, so yesterday was actually our first day this summer that we were able to go out in the field and conduct our audits. But the kids are going around to all of the recycling bins that are on the curb and just kind of glancing at it, seeing if there's any contaminants in there, and leaving behind information for those households to let them know, like, hey, this doesn't belong in your recycling bin. This is where you can find out more information about why this is a problem.
And this, you mentioned this is the first time this summer cohort has been out, but this is something that's been part of the program the last few years.
Yeah, this is our second time working with Casella on this project. And
just speaking of Casella, there was recently an award that Casella gave to the city, and Worcester Green Corps was a factor in that.
Yeah, so the city of Worcester received one of the 2023 Sustainability Awards from Casella. We're actually the only municipality that won the award, and we're one of the largest municipal haulers in the New England region for Casella. So it's a pretty significant award.
Right, and that's and for a city this size and a urban community, the recycling rate is actually fairly high.
Yes, the problem was more of the contamination rate. So the biggest contaminant that we were trying to eliminate was plastic bags. So we did our audit last summer and we realized plastic bags was the #1 contaminant. And then in October, the city placed in effect a ban on bagging your recyclables in plastic bags. And since then, we've actually reduced the contamination rate just of plastic bags from about 20% to around 10%.
Wow.
So that's pretty significant.
That is. And then, the other elements of the Worcester Green Corps There's the cleanups, but there's also beautifications and pollinator gardens. Maybe you could talk a little bit about some of that work.
Yeah, so we've adopted the island on Billings Square on Grafton Street, thanks to Sarah Pearl Worcester for supporting us in that effort. So every week our kids are out there. They've been doing a lot of mulching and weeding and getting kind of like a pollinator habitat built in that little region. We also have gardens on Mill Street, and today actually our kids are at Patch Reservoir working with Worcester State, and they're actually studying the different pollinators that are in that garden and learning more about all of their different roles in that ecosystem.
And so these kids in the summer, these young people learning, getting paid, and getting exposed to educational and career opportunities. But then you also work year-round with colleges and universities, volunteer groups, neighborhood groups on doing cleanups and beautifications as well.
Yeah, so that's how this project really started. Is I met with people over at Worcester State, and they said, we have this community garden, we'd really like to get some help in here. And so this has been a project that we've been working on since the spring, and our spring youth workers actually also went to Patch Reservoir and kind of started the basis of this project.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, there are also kind of some specific projects. Worcester Green Corps, worked with a local landscaper to kind of clean up all the trees and tree wells and mulch along the Pleasant Street corridor and Quinsigamond Ave. So that's a piece of it too, kind of working with neighborhood business districts and the canal districts, trying to do some of those beautifications year round.
Yep.
And one of the other pieces that's coming up that I don't know if I'm signaling this too early, but an initiative with AT&T that hopefully in the next month or two people will see some changes on the downtown landscape.
Yeah, so we had our youth workers last week were involved in a design session with our lead artists, Sharina and Janessa. And so there's going to be a really large mural in the North Main Street corridor, hopefully by the end of our season with the kids this summer.
Right.
Yeah.
And we got just a couple minutes, but there is a lot going on. And then the other element of kind of that broader public education, we talked about the audits, getting letting people know about how to recycle properly so the materials can be recycled. But also there's about educating people about how and where the sewers and combined sewer overflow, and there's an initiative that's going to go on about labeling sewer drains. Is that right?
So we've been working with the sewer division for almost a year on this now. I first learned about the problem when they came in to speak with our youth workers about professional goals. And we learned that a lot of people are using the catch basins in the city like a trash can. And people don't realize that those catch basins are actually connected directly to bodies of water. So the Worcester Arts Council funded this project for us, and the Woo Sox Foundation is also funding it. And we're pretty much just painting around these catch basins and saying, do not dump drains to the Blackstone River, for example. And we were able to hire about 10 artists local to Worcester. So they're actually out there today starting to paint those. So,
right. And that's, sometimes people think, well, this must go in a pipe all the way to some place to get treated, when in fact, no, it goes into a lot of our waterways, ponds, and lakes.
Yes, exactly.
Getting that information out. So if people want to volunteer, maybe contribute, lead an initiative, cleanup or beautification in their neighborhood, you help organize those. How can they get in touch with you, Miranda?
So you could just go straight to our website, worcestergreencorps.org, and under contact there is a little section that you can fill out, and I'll get all those messages. Or you can email me directly at mhotham@worcesterchamber.org.
All right. Miranda, keep up the great work with the team out there, especially during the summer. And we want to thank you for being with us in this segment. And come right back. We're going to talk a little bit more about some events coming up here in Worcester.
These days, you've got your hands full in life. That's why we help you bank simply and securely with tools like Face ID and Touch ID. It's why we make it easy to make purchases on the go and get cash back while you're at it. Why we help you quickly deposit checks wherever you are. And it's why we lend a hand with sending and receiving money right from your phone. So even when you're on the move, you can manage your finances. Bank Hometown. Unlock your potential.
Worcester, a city with heart, history, and promise. A hub of innovation in life sciences, education, and healthcare. Home to multi-generational families, first-generation citizens, and next-generation baseball and hockey greats. Home to great parks, world-class museums, theaters, and restaurants. Worcester, the place to visit, to invest, and to call home.
This is Radio Worcester. Local talk, local news, local events. We got it, and we've got opinions that you're going to want to hear.
That Worcester will be thought of and spoken about.
We're live every morning, 6 to 10 a.m., and if you can't catch us then, you can find us online, day and night, at radioworcester.com. This is your town. This is your morning show. Talk of the Commonwealth with Hank and Ben.